Hello, ancient Greek cooking. Our lesson today has goose. We have bulbs for hors d'oeuvres and cabbage with oxymeli, a very good sweet melopita. So we are ready to continue and show you how to cook it. The first recipe in our menu is cabbage with oxymeli. Oxymeli is very simple to make. It is honey and vinegar. What we must pay attention to is to add the honey about half a cup.
Το μέλι μας, περίπου μισό φλιτζάνι μέλι.
Bring to the boil and skim if necessary.
Να βράσει. Και αν χρειαστεί θα το ξαφρίσουμε.
To that we will then add 2 spoonfuls of vinegar, red vinegar. We will let it thicken and allow cooling before using it on the cabbage.
Θα το αφήσουμε να δέσει αυτό μαζί και να το αφήσουμε να κρυώσει, να το χρησιμοποιήσουμε πάνω στο λάκανο. Ωραία.
Right, 2 spoonfuls of vinegar. And we let it simmer a little bit, as the ancient recipe says. It should be cooked with the honey. The oxymeli is ready, so we put it to one side to cool. Then we have the cabbage, which we shred.
Το οποίο το κόβουμε σε μικρά κομμάτια. Αυτό θα το βάλουμε.
We put it in a bowl.
Θα το
Sprinkle with a little salt.
λίγο αλάτι. Και με το χέρι μας
And soften it a bit with our hand, and then put it aside.
και θα το αφήσουμε στην άκρη.
In the cabbage, we will add lots of finely chopped fresh coriander,
Φρέσκο κόλιανδρο.
a herb used extensively in ancient Greece, and rue. We have given proof many times that it adds a good flavor and stresses the cabbage's flavor.
Στη γεύση του λάχανου. Παίρνουμε τα φυλαράκια του.
We take its leaves and chop them finely.
Μη φοβηθείτε.
Do not be afraid of its bad smell.
Μυρωδιά του. Και ξανά το ανακατεύουμε.
And we mix it again with the cabbage.
Καλά. Με το λάχανο. Και είμαστε έτοιμοι.
And we are ready to serve it later when we have the rest in our plates. We are ready to prepare the bulbs. The bulb is an unusual vegetable which may turn out bitter if you are not careful. Of course, there are those who prefer bulbs to be bitter. This depends on people's taste. We will show you here how bulbs were prepared in ancient Greece. The bulb must first be put into a bowl, and we must have boiling water to pour over all the bulbs with the boiling water. We leave them there for about 2 to 3 minutes. Then we drain them and put them in another bowl, and we cover them with rough salt for about 6 hours.
Με χοντρό αλάτι για περίπου 6 ώρες. Μετά,
Then we flick the salt away from the bulbs and place them in a jar.
χοντρό αλάτι από τους βολβούς και τους βάζουμε σε ένα βάζο. Έτοιμοι.
The bulbs are ready. We take our onion, slice it in thin slices, put it in the small saucepan. Here we will add a glass of vinegar,
Ένα ποτήρι ξύδι,
a spoonful of sesame, 4 spoonfuls of honey. We will put this on the fire,
να του δώσουμε μία μικρή βράση.
almost bring it to the boil, not exactly to the boil. We take it off before it starts to boil. The mixture is ready, as we said, before it starts to boil.
Αρχίζει να βράσει.
We pour all the mixture over the bulbs.
Με όλο το μείγμα.
A little olive oil on top.
Από πάνω.
We close our jar,
Το αφήνουμε στην
put it
άκρη.
aside to cool, and then we can either keep it in the fridge or leave it on a shelf.
Το αφήσουμε στο ράφι μας.
We are ready to cook our poultry. In antiquity, they used all kinds of poultry. They used chicken, they used duck, they used goose, they used the best of poultry, pheasant, pigeons, they used quail.
Περιστέρια. Χρησιμοποιούσαν ορτίκια.
Any kind of poultry, cooking them in any way. What we will show you today is we will take our poultry and first boil it with 1 onion, 2 carrots, 1 sliced leek, a little salt. Afterwards we keep the broth, which we will then use to make the rest of the recipe.
Για να κάνουμε την υπόλοιπη συνταγή, κρατάμε
We keep the vegetables to serve them in the end, together with our poultry,
πουλερικό μας και αρχίζουμε
and now we start making our recipe. Very gently and slowly, we cut the pieces in individual portions.
σε μερίδες. Αυτό που έχουμε κάνει
What we have done, boiling it first, helps get rid of most of the goose's fat to melt so that the poultry we are cutting will not have any fat on it.
και έτσι το πουλερικό, οι μερίδες που θα κόβουμε δεν θα έχουν λίπος πάνω τους. Όταν βράζουμε το πουλερικό, προσπαθούμε να
When we boil the poultry, we will try to boil it to the point where it is ready without letting it disintegrate, because afterwards you will not be able to cut the portions, because this poultry we are now going to roll in flour and fry, so it does not need to cook any further in the sauce. You do not need to let it disintegrate completely. What we need, and this is why we do it, is to take the broth so we may use it in our recipe.
το χρησιμοποιήσουμε στη συνταγή μας. Προχωράμε στην
We
επόμενη,
proceed to the next stage,
η οποία είναι
which is to put our pan on the fire with a good quantity of oil in it,
με αρκετό λάδι πάνω στη φωτιά και να αλευρώσουμε τα κομμάτια
and roll the goose pieces, flicking all unnecessary flour off, and then frying it.
και μόλις είναι το λάδι έτοιμο θα το τηγανίσουμε.
We have enough to prepare our portion. Next, what is interesting in the recipe, but is something that must not worry you that you cannot continue if you do not have it, is agorida. As you know, agorida is unripe grapes. It is when grapes have not been ripened yet, they are very sour like vinegar, so we use this in the sauce instead of vinegar. But if you don't have agorida, do not worry. Use half a glass of vinegar. It is exactly the same as it would have been with the agorida. Not exactly, but it would have been similar. So our oil is ready, and we fry the pieces, the floured goose pieces, on both sides to help the flour adhere on the goose. Then we prepare our materials that we will put in our sauce, which is garlic that we crush in the mortar with a little salt. This is ready too. 3 cloves of garlic, we have it ready. Our goose is ready too. We remove it from the oil. In the same oil, we now add the garlic.
Θα προσθέσουμε το σκόρδο.
Three spoons of flour.
Αλεύρι.
The grapes, the broth, some broth. It will start to thicken with the flour. We add again the pieces of goose and then cover with the broth. Now we allow our goose to simmer in its sauce with the grapes until it is tender and the sauce has thickened. We are ready to serve it. We garnish our plate with some vine leaves. If we have grapes, so we place the goose a little of the sauce, freshly ground pepper, and we garnish it with a few bulbs.
βόλβους. Για να σερβίρουμε.
Let's serve our salad. Let's take the cabbage we put aside.
Που έχουμε αφήσει.
We will garnish it. Pour the oxymeli over it.
Οξύμελι.
And then we will also garnish it with cold vegetables, the vegetables we boiled with the goose. Our salad is ready. Bon appétit. We are now ready to make our sweet that will accompany the goose, the melopita, a very easy sweet, and we will see that we will find these ingredients in almost all sweets of ancient Greek cooking. Milk, honey, semolina. In this case, we also have some butter, cinnamon that they put on top to accompany it, or cloves, or another, aniseed, or any other sweet, and toasted sesame, of course. To make this sweet, we take 4 parts milk with 2 parts semolina. We will add the butter, fresh butter, in the milk. And we will bring to the boil. Then we will add the semolina little by little, stirring it until it thickens.
Ανακατεύοντας συνεχώς έως ότου πήξει το γλυκό μας.
We must be very careful not to allow the milk to burn at the bottom of the pan. Stirring is essential for this sweet. We must be careful to stir continuously, first, so that the milk does not burn, as we said, and second, so that the semolina does not form lumps. So, what I am doing is bringing the milk to a boil so we can add the honey to stir it, and then the semolina little by little. So, we are now at the boiling point, and we are now adding the honey. We stir well to dissolve, and we begin to add the semolina little by little, stirring all the time as we said. We do not want the semolina to stick to the bottom, so we keep stirring. The mixture is beginning to slowly thicken, but we must continue stirring.
Το ανακάτεμα όμως πρέπει να το συνεχίσουμε.
When we see the mixture begin coming off the sides, it is ready.
Από τα τυχώματα είναι πια έτοιμο.
We turn off the heat and put it all in a large mold or individual ones.
Ή ολόκληρο ή ατομικές μερίδες. Πασπαλίζουμε.
And sprinkle toasted sesame and a little cinnamon over the top.
Και λίγο κανέλα.
We can serve it hot or cold, or remove it from the mold, or leave it in the mold.
Να το βγάλουμε από τη φόρμα ή να το σερβίρουμε στη φόρμα.
This is our sweet. We hope you enjoy it.